cold and vicious. That's what I say about them.
You also have a friend who you say has a reptilian inside of him.
This is the same man. He does.
Same man.
He got seated. Many people are seated. If he's described it as tentacles, almost like tentacles of thought, like these thoughts that are very negative, destructive, will almost like wash over you like a wave. And now he knows what's going on. He saw this thing in his astral vision rise up out of himself and look in his face one night. Very dark. And the ones around him that torture him every night also will put energy into the thing to try to help it grow. If you don't know, every major political, moneyed, power person on this planet has one inside of them. Almost virtually every one of them. I don't know if they're conscious of it, but I can hear it in their reversals. It comes out right away. So,
you also mentioned you had a niece who had suicidal tendencies,
yes.
And that was also related to this reptilian phenomenon.
Yes, I recorded with her. She was a cutter, cutting herself, and then she also tried to commit suicide. And beautiful. She's always been very, very psychic. As a matter of fact, she sees dead people, just like the Sixth Sense movie. And I would have thought, well, maybe she's just exaggerating. She's about 16. But she saw Francis, who had traveled with me years ago, because he was always hanging around me. And as soon as she said that, I knew she was for real. But during this time, they would give her nightmares, they would talk to her, get her, all these negative things, scare her. And she tried to commit suicide. And when we recorded together, when I was out there a year and a half ago, we were recording, and the reptilian speaking on the tape said, "We made you cut. We wanted you to commit suicide." And that was a big wake-up call for her, because she realized this was not her, this was her being influenced by them.
You also feel that your husband Nick is not of the earth originally, that he is of Syrian descent.
I said that in reverse. That's the only reason I know.
And how about yourself? Do you feel kinship with the Pleiadians, or?
Yes. I wouldn't have. I mean, I never was into, I'm special, I'm Pleiadian. I'd heard a lot of that on the TV show we had done, and I was like, get a life, But back when the reptilians first started showing up, they kept calling me the Pleiadian. And I kept hearing it over and over again. And it was coming up all the time. And then I heard from the Pleiadians. For a short time, they were able to talk to me. And then I knew it was true. And I would say there are lots of Pleiadians here. There are lots. I would say anybody who would be interested enough to watch a program or to something like this project probably is not from here. And probably Pleiadian.
You say also a lot of the people that are pursuing knowledge of this sort are often in financial binds. You have a lot of friends in financial binds. How does that play into this whole scenario? Why is that?
Because they've created debt. They've created this whole money system. And it's wrong. It's wrong. Look at this planet. It is wrong. So it's not easy. I mean, it's not hard to see how people who are not into the money thing, are probably going to be poor. Unless you're willing to compromise, and I'm not saying everybody, but I'm just saying generally speaking, money is not easy, in spite of the new age, people who say just think about it and it's yours. I don't think it's that simple anymore. I used to think you could just create it by thoughts, but I don't believe that anymore.
Now, you started in all the interviews that you did on UFOZ, you talked with so many of the brightest and best people in the metaphysical and UFO fields. I remember at one time Jim and you and myself put a show together. And I'm thinking I'm going to turn this over to Peggy Kane, and she's going to be talking about reptilians. Peggy?
Thanks, Jim. Hi. I guess reptiles have fascinated and intrigued and repulsed.
Now, what kind of led you to the